Today, I'm going to take you through what happened in Mexico. I just came back from Mexico, and I thought, given the week that based on what transpired, you guys need to hear what's going on through this church in a very unique way. I want to begin with this text from Matthew 25, 31 to 46. We're going to read at the very end of the message, or the sharing time, what I'm going to share with you. But I want to walk through what happened on this trip. If nothing else, your eyes will be opened. We can turn off the house lights, Simon. Perfect, because then it's easier to see the screen. And for the person videotaping, make sure you get good screenshots when we are doing the pictures, okay? This is very picture-driven, and I hope you'll catch what I saw. It's going to be hard to do since you weren't there, but it was a tremendous experience. All right, day one, my host, and many of you have met Gerardo and Gloria and Abby and Jonathan. I believe Abby is 17 and he's 16. He's a big boy. Like, he's huge. You'd think he's 19, 20, 21 easily. So this is the family that kind of took care of me. I stayed in their home, saved on some hotel costs for a couple of the nights, which is great. But if you haven't met Gerardo, we're going to have him back up here in Canada the next time we have an event here, because the Canadian government just opened up the door to allow people to come more freely from Mexico now. So that starts, I believe, in September or November. So that's a big change. So great family. The town that I went to was Gloria's hometown as a child. This is the town she grew up in. And it was many, many years ago when she was a little girl that a missionary came to this little hick. Like, honestly, it is a blip on the map. El Limon is El Lime. Like, it means lime, not lemon even. You'd think it'd be lemon, but it's lime. So that's all it means. And she grew up in Limeville. And honestly, it was a very, very poor town. Still is. But a missionary came. And as a result of that missionary come to that town, she started to believe in Jesus Christ. She gave her heart to Christ as a little girl and began to grow in faith. Missionary left, and that somehow the spark that God put in her kept going. It didn't wither away in any kind of way. And it was later that she led Gerardo to Christ. Like, really? Like, just from a missionary's fruit, one time, coming to that village, it impacted one person. And here's what's happening. This man is impacting all of Spanish-speaking South America. Through his teaching, discipleship, he is ministering to hundreds and hundreds of people and has ministered to thousands. Right now, he's discipling a whole bunch of pastors every Wednesday at like 8 p.m. They do a Skype call, and he teaches and disciples them as pastors. He's training them. All from a missionary showing up at a little town, impacting Gloria. Like, and then I think it was 8 years ago, a group from Hope Fellowship went. Colleen went, Rachel went, a lady named Anna went, Reg Shoot, myself, and is that it? And Gloria. Girls in the car on long rides. I tell you, we're talking feisty women, right, Rachel? It was the sassy ride the whole time. Me and Reg and Gerardo felt, oh no, we're in serious trouble. But anyway, that was a really, really good eye-opener. We were introduced to the village. We saw it for the first time. And then this past March, and by the way, the pastor at that time, I forget his name now, but he was very warm to what Gerardo had brought to the village, and was already on the lens of teaching grace and being gracious, not law-oriented, and that was a very welcoming time. We had a lot of people come and sit in the outer court of their community hall, and we shared the message of freedom to this little village. In fact, it was how old was that one lady? Do you remember?
She's in the
90s. I think she's 94. She gave her heart to Christ and died in a car crash 6 months later. You know, really? People still can change. Do not give up hope, and do not underestimate any word of encouragement that you give to anyone, even just in passing, an act of love, helping them, it all matters. It all makes a difference. So, I stayed in Gerardo's home. This is the view out of his back window. This was my sunset go to sleep. Mexicans are a bit different in their time schedules, unless it's the weekend. The weekends are noisy and they're up late, but they're up at 4 or 5 in the morning. That's the average, and then they go to bed by 10. The town was dead quiet, 10 p.m., like nothing. And guess what time the kids go to school? Guess what time they start school? Take a guess. Oh, that's sick. That's really sick. But 7. Close. 7 a.m. they start school, and they're done by 1 o'clock because it's so freaking hot in the afternoon. So there's a reason for all this, and I'll talk about the heat in just a minute. But this is out of his back window. Lots of mountains. It was beautiful. That's in Guadalajara, by the way. So Guadalajara is about 5,000 feet above sea level. El Limon is right at sea level, if not just slightly below, just a hair below. So the air pressure is very different, and so is the humidity. All right, so here we go. Day 3-hour drive. So we started properly with a Starbucks. There were different places to buy coffee, but I trusted this one a lot more. So we ended up doing that. That was a great trip in a big van. Those of you who've done the van, you know the van. It's a lot of fun. So this is a town called Santiago. This is about 25 minutes outside of El Limon. It's the only safe place to stay for a hotel. And it was a great hotel. This is the coming in arches. It's very Mexico and very Catholic, if you can't tell. But lots of art, lots of cool colors everywhere. It was a beautiful town. The market, they had a market. I took safe pictures, but this is them trying to cover up from the sun because the sun was going to start heating up pretty quick. They sold everything from veggies, that's corn or something, and these are the kind of fruits and vegetables that they have available. I did not take pictures of all the hanging heads and meat items that they had. Like it was. There's the meat. So we saw pickup trucks unload these recycle bins full of racks of ribs and stuff, whatever it was. Like just, here you go, boom. Oh, sanitary, oh my goodness. So yeah, we just kept driving. Yeah, it was good. So again, lots of fruits and vegetables. Santiago is also the only place where El Limon can go to buy any kind of groceries. And this market's one of the only places they can go. So like for your real needs. There is a truck that goes from Santiago to El Limon with all the stuff on the back, and it's like a portable grocery truck. And only once or twice a week it comes and visits and sells their stuff a little bit more expensive because the tax on travel, right? By the way, it was Gerardo's niece. You'll see a picture of her a little bit later. The road from Santiago to El Limon is now paved because of her. Soliciting the government because it was a harsh drive, very bumpy, really bad roads. And so it took forever. It took like an hour and a half. Remember I told you it's about 25 minutes away? Hour and a half just to get to that little town, and it was not safe. It's now paved. It's been paved for about 15 years. But when I found out she had petitioned and petitioned and petitioned and had all this stuff put in, that's pretty amazing. All right. This is in Santiago still. Just some of the homes, the way the sidewalks work, they're very skinny, pretty high up. They've had floods there before, and pretty nasty ones, in fact. But just, you know, it's not very wealthy. And this is outside of my hotel. Very warm, holy heat. Yeah. One morning, it was the Wednesday morning, I woke up to 39 degrees. Woke up to 39 degrees, stepped outside, and it was like, oh! It was the humidity. It was you know, it was hard to breathe. But then by 2 o'clock, it was 44. So it was hot. So no, somebody said, you don't have a tent. It's because we weren't sitting out in the sun. You know, you're stupid if you sit out in the sun. But I understand siesta now. I understand the afternoon nap. I understand the hammock thing now. Yeah, for sure, because they have to. It's way too hot. I saw people sitting outside of their homes in chairs at night because it was so hot in the house. I thought, oh my goodness, and this is their normal. So you can imagine. So anyway, this is in Santiago. Now, the first night we show up in El Limón. And then there's the school in the background. We'll cover that one a few slides later. But this is the arrival. So we had a hello El Limón. Now, you don't have a backyard and you want to have a party? No problem. Just go out in the street. That's doesn't matter. Oh, there's something in the way. So the drivers have to drive all the way around. And remember last time we were there, we had cops come through and they stopped and had to back up because we used the street for a church service. It was hilarious. And it was the herd of cows that got us scared. Remember that picture from the herd of cows coming? And then yeah, it was pretty cool. So anyway, that was kind of fun. And I got to get the Mexican horse on the street picture. That was just perfect. This is what it's like. Really cool roads, very bumpy. I'm sure somebody makes a lot of money selling suspension systems because nothing was smooth there at all. This is a shot down one of the streets. Again, very poor, very open, no doors, Yeah, lets the dogs wander wherever they want. There's so many dogs. And how you always go, you don't want to do that. You look and go, ugh. They're all mangy and kind of sickly looking or hobbling on three legs or whatever. Like they're everywhere, and some are like scary looking. So yeah, I got nervous when we started walking through the service. Like, oh, yeah. Day 2, first night. We rented the community hall, which is only used for the business and landowners. They're the ones who are in charge of the use of it and so on, but they gave us permission to use this, and so we had our first service there for Sunday night. Kids were all coming in. Adults came later. I couldn't take pictures afterwards because I'm on stage, so that was hard. But it was a very, very good event. Gerardo was speaking and encouraging the group. It was a very, very good time. The kids are they're actually quiet this time, which is weird because normally they're pretty distracted. I had a chance to share some neat Bible stories with them, stories they would not have heard, just to kind of encourage them and paraphrase it. And it was well translated by Gerardo, I'm sure. I don't know. I'm sure it was. Then Gerardo and I stopped at Costco and picked up a whole bunch of candy and gave a lot of candy away. Jerry Brumless called me on Saturday and said, hey, I got a box of T-shirts potentially. Can you use them? There's about 70 of them. I went, sure. And so by mid-afternoon, we meet up, and he gives me this huge box of white T-shirts. You're going to see them in a minute. They were a hit. We gave them all away. We have, a couple couldn't fit in my bag because I have maxed out every single luggage piece I had to the absolute maximum. So this is the beginning of, and by the way, this is Gerardo's niece, and this is Rosalba. We'll talk about her a little bit later. But here we go. We start handing them out. It's all relaxed now. This little kid was trying to get my attention, so got to say hello. He wanted a picture. There's the T-shirt hanging on his shoulder. He's got one too. That was pretty cool. Then we had, again, more candy. This woman is a saint. She is the backbone of this community in many ways. She's not an official leader, but all the people in the village trust her. She's not corrupt. And there are many, many corrupt leaders in almost every village. It's just what do you call it? It's systemic. It's part of their culture, If you can take it, take it. If you can get more, take more. If you don't have to pay, don't pay. Whatever. Whatever they can do to survive, it's pretty sad. So we had fun giving away a lot of candy. More T-shirts were given away. It was pretty fun. So there's some, and this guy, he spoke English. And broken English, but he was a lot of fun. And he shows up at every single meeting. And he was just really interested in hearing what was being shared and liked the stories. He sits in with the kids. Really? Yeah, it was fun. So we had a group shot with the T-shirts. There you go, Jerry. You can tell whoever gave them to you, they were well received. In fact, Gerardo, whenever he goes, he tries to bring suitcases full of clothes to this village because they can't afford to buy new clothes. I'm going to be starting to think through shoes, kids' shoes, and T-shirts and stuff like that, pants. There's more to come in a few minutes, but oh my goodness, they just can't afford it. This trip showed me a clear image of the poverty in this region and how much money they make. It's insane. They make $8 a day working in the tobacco field. A day. So that's not much. And not everybody works. So it's pretty tough. So we did a group selfie. That was a lot of fun. I think this is a relative of Gerardo's. And I think her name's Anita. And we'll go from there. It was fun. So we met a group of people here, and they wanted their photo taken, so we went over, said hello, and the kids started crying as soon as we came over there. I didn't show the crying picture. Yeah. Squish the arm. Yeah. It's holding him up. So this little girl wanted a picture with me. So then I said, well, how about you smile? We looked at the picture, so this is her smile. All you can do, right? Day 3. This was the big project that we've been raising funds for to try and make up. We still have about $1,500 to raise. If at all you're interested in still supporting this, you can go on to gracewalkcanada.org site, and you can make a donation that way. Everything is helping to pay off what we've just done. 7 a.m. start school. We showed up at 8, so thank goodness. Pretty early. But their season of school ends in about a week. Or next couple of days they'll be finished school. They go a lot longer. They don't have a whole big long summer off. They only get a couple weeks chunks at a time all through the year, and it changes because the elementary kids get most of the summer off, but then the junior high and high school all changes. Number of the kids don't go to the school. They travel out of town, but they have to take a taxi to go to the other school because of the amenities here were so not good. And as a result of what we just did, we found out that 4 or 5 students are going to now stay in El Limon to stay in school, which helps the funding for the school too from the government based on the kids. So that's really cool. So this is the beginning. We showed up. They all have uniforms, which is kind of neat. So this is inside the classroom. At one point, this gentleman stood up and spoke and kind of gave a speech on behalf of the class. Now, to me, I'm coming in thinking, yeah, okay, we got all the stuff done. That's great. You know, I'm sure it means something to you. But then I heard how much it means to them. It just kind of ripped your heart out thinking, we are so rich here. And we whine because there's no Wi-Fi, you know, and all kinds of little petty, first world problems. And here we have very, very significant problems, and we'll get into that. So there's Gerardo having a chat. I did a talk with a class. I encouraged them with the love of Christ and to stay in school because most of them will quit after grade 8. They just stop because having to go to high school is just not worth it for them. They'll go out in the tobacco fields, trying to help the family earn more money, and they can't. So that's what happened there. This is really cool. I'm going to show you a video in just a minute, so make sure volume's up high. This is one of the contraptions they did in the class, and I want you to look very closely. All this is, what is that? Cardboard. They don't have anything. Like, they had to find whatever it is they had, and then they constructed this science project, which is really cool. I was very impressed with this. It's a hydraulic system, but here's the video of what happened. Here we go. It's videoing. All right, let's show me how it works. That's the principle. Look
at that's to bring down the arm.
Unbelievable.
That's to open it up.
Yep.
That's to bring it.
Wow. All the syringes.
The Mexican. That's a Mexican robot. Right?
That's amazing. That's Mexican robot. So that was really cool. And this teacher, these teachers have only been in this school for about 8 months, and they really care for this school more than most teachers have so far. And they hope they can stay longer, but the teachers get moved around a lot. This is the principal of the school. Got along with them really well. This is one of the teachers. The other guy's taking the picture. But this is a great group photo, and then we get into the projects. So, we talked about windows being replaced. They had, all the tops of the windows were broken. There was no glass across the top. They had curtains trying to stop the dust from coming in. That's all they had. We replaced 33 panes of glass. And now it's secure in there. There isn't blowing dust. They actually had to install a fan because it was getting hot in there. Another project sometime is put window air conditioning units in each of the 3 classrooms. It's not that expensive to do for us. There's no way they can afford it. But that was a big, big plus for them. So there's a picture from the inside of these 3 panes, or these panes across the top. And there was 3 classrooms on this property that we accomplished that work on. These are the desks. Welcome to class, folks. This is your classroom. And there's not enough desks for everybody. They just don't have it. The tops break off. In fact, as soon as we sat down, yeah.
Question for you.
Yeah.
I saw this on some of the pictures you had posted. The bars on the outside of the window, is that there for protection?
Yep.
From breaking?
So they don't break out. So people don't break in. Everything's got bars. Everything is barred up. That's the way it is. Yeah, those are security bars, for sure. But these are the desks. Some are plastic and old. These metal ones, as we were starting to have the first meeting in the classroom, one of the tops popped off because it was broken. It needs to be welded. And they couldn't afford a welder. So the one afternoon when we were going to go do a siesta and take a break, we instead went to a whole bunch of welding shops trying to get a welder to come and do a couple welding jobs for them. So it didn't happen while we were there, but I left money with them to pay for a welder to fix soccer poles. There's a soccer pole that needs a major repair. A whole bunch of the desks need welding. They need new desks for sure, but these are about 45-year-old desks. Just metal, loose, that's it. And then with the money left over, they painted all their desks. Like if you wouldn't remember this, and I had to go back and look, but these used to be like black and very beat up from being paint chipped. And so they took some of the paint and they painted all the desks, giving it a fresh look. And something fresh always helps people feel better. You clean your room after it's been messy, it feels good to have it clean. That's kind of what's happening here. So they were really thrilled with the paint. A lot of paint was, a lot of things were painted. These were painted. These were so gross and very ugly with the paint job that was on, but these were hand painted black. And again, it just makes it look better, helps them feel better about themselves. That was the house painting project that we did last time, and painting 12, 13 homes to help them find some color and joy in their environment and make their place where they live better. Then, this is kind of cool, they had these gated areas and I couldn't figure out what it was, but they were starting to plant gardens. The teachers are trying to teach the kids, let's nurture a garden and learn how to plant and water. They're just starting to teach them some of these basic things. I thought that was pretty cool. Water pump. This is the beginning. Remember the washrooms had no running water. As of last Thursday, the Thursday before, I arrived on Thursday, so it was the Wednesday, the day before, for the first time in 60 years, since that's been going on, they've had no running water. None. No flushing toilets in this school. They now have it. This is what they got. That's the water pump. It comes outside, and then that runs, they dug a trench to the washroom. This is the washroom here. They dug a trench, put the piping in the ground. They first thought they'd use the hose, but then they went and thought, no, it's not going to work. Let's put it underground. And so the water runs up, and in the morning they come, they turn on the pump, and it fills this thing up with water, the big tank. And that way it gives them the water for what they need for that day. And the water pressure and how full that tank is gives them the running water they need. So that's the tank. It's a big thing. It's been there a long time. Just never hooked up, never used. Sad. So they had to put in all this plumbing. Instead of going behind the tile, they did on this side of the tile. They said, what the heck, like, this is something versus nothing. These taps, instead of buying a 3-tapper, you only get one. It's not like they have hot water. So they went cheaper, and They tried to save money every possible way to pay for some of the extras, and you'll see some more of the extras, including the painting jobs. So urinals, they never had those before. Guys, you'll appreciate that. But anyway, that was big for them. This is a lawnmower. It's hard to see in there. Some of the money saved helped them buy a lawnmower for the school so they can mow the soccer field and just take care of the grounds. They hadn't had that. This is the public school. So what? I found out they had a library. They only had one shelf, and they ended up buying 3 more steel shelves used, and that's their library. So it's like, you appreciate your library if you enjoy reading and stuff, and appreciate the church library. This is their school library. Next, big soccer field. I don't have a picture of it. Do I? No. But on the back here, there's supposed to be a pole coming out and down part way. That's to hold the nets that they don't have. So the welder's going to come and put on one of those bars because it came off. He's also going to weld a couple of supports. Even that support has to be re-welded. Soccer is the #1 sport they play. There was no physical education program, and now that they can mow the field, the kids are outside, they're doing a lot more, far more active, playing soccer. Then they have this shelter. The parents of the village built this once the soccer field was taken care of, and it was so parents can come watch the kids play soccer. Poor kids got sweat in the heat, but parents can be nice in the shade, and it's wonderful. So that's what that is. So we're having a chat about what the field is like. Over here's a bunch of tall brush. They're going to try and get the military who do volunteer work in communities to come and cut back all that brush so they can see this. There's a river behind, and it's from this river they used to pump water. In fact, before they had the well, they had to go down to the river with pails for the washroom, and that's how you flushed, by going down to the river. And there's snakes down there, a lot of snakes, a lot of scorpions are there. So it was never really safe. Just it may not seem like much to you and I, but they paid to have this section rebuilt and closed in. It was open so anybody could come and go. Animals would come and go, in and out. But more importantly is having it sealed across the bottom so snakes don't come in. Like they won't really go over the thingy. You think they could. They can, but the wall, it redirects them somewhere else. So it keeps out a lot more bugs, scorpions, snakes, and other kinds of animals that would come in. It was also, people were coming in all the time, including the farmer from the field over here. He would just come over, run a hose down to the river, and water his fields during school. So it's like very disrespectful. So they, that's the repair job. And then instead they have this little hole further up now that they can run the hose through, not during school hours. So they left them a spot to do that, And eventually they're going to tell them, build your own well over there. So all these inconveniences that we don't even think of. And they had enough money to paint on the wall. Like, really, who can't afford painting on the wall like that? But they were proudly able to display the name of their school, something they hadn't had up for years. So that was really, really neat to see kind of personal pride come out, and they felt good about their school. They're really, really thankful for what happened, but this was the brunt of what we paid for to see happen. And I thought it was a phenomenal, phenomenal time.
What does that say?
Escuela Telefondrie Tibricovile Herandes. I don't know. I'm sorry?
That's just cool.
It's the school name. The name of their school. Yep. All right. Day 4. It wasn't just the projects I went to see. We also did some teaching. And we took time to train a bunch of people in discipleship. We walked them through identity in Christ. And it was a very intensive time. So we're outside. It's hot. Everything was done outside. We had to have fans at times because mosquitoes were everywhere, especially at night. They were really bad. I only got 2 mosquito bites. That was it. That was really good. So this is Rosalba, and Petty is her name. And so we're walking through some very, very serious discipleship teaching, stuff that they were crying most of the time. Most of the time, because, and even as I'm about to explain a scripture, I can see her mouthing something, and Gerardo keeps saying, she's getting it. She gets this. She understands it's not about the rules. There's another church in town. Remember I told you there was a good pastor? Well, he left, and another lady came in, a lady and her husband. The husband started to teach, but then she took over the church. And it's a very Pentecostal type for Mexican Pentecostal, which is different. And so what she had been teaching is, women, you're not allowed to wear any makeup. You have to wear dresses. You can't wear any jewelry. You have to be in church. If you want to be blessed by God, you have to give more money. She asked people to sell their homes so that the church could be helped. She manipulated and manipulated and manipulated and manipulated. And we thought we were going back to that in March. We thought we were going to a good church. But we found out pretty quickly, oh my goodness, we're not going to support. We're not going to align with this little group. And so I have something pretty cool to announce in just a couple minutes. But we took 2 days of teaching these folks, morning and evening. We didn't go in the afternoons. We had to take a break. But 4 different times of 2-3 hours at a time, just sitting and teaching and watching tears, watching joy. Some other people came in afterwards just to take in all this stuff. And we recorded it. And there's a reason for that, and we'll get into that in a minute. Some of the sights we saw. Well, that was hilarious. In fact, Gerardo yelled out to the guys, "Hey, stop for a photo," in Spanish, because I heard the photo part. And so they both looked over and smiled, and there's 7 cases of beer on a moped. Like, only in Mexico. And then I got some people from Indonesia messaging me, "That's nothing, look at this." And of course, you know, all these different countries that have different rules, or lack of rules. I just thought it was absolutely funny. This is Rosalba's, there's another lady, what's her name? No, this is Petty, her store. She has a little tiny corner store, and if you want to have a store in Mexico, just put Coca-Cola on the outside of your building, and you have a store. That's how you know it's a store. But she had very simple things, toilet paper, you name it. The eggs are sitting out on the counter. That's where they are. To me, I don't get that. But anyway, that's how they did it in all these little corner stores. And she hardly makes any money, but she sits there all day, and that's what she does. Old arcade that doesn't work, but like there's nothing there. Like, this is hardly anything, and this is her only way. The number one thing she sells is pop. They're addicted to cola, by far, and Coca-Cola. This is the inside of the home Gloria grew up in with 6 siblings. That's it. 1 room. So, if you have bunkies and 2 kids in a 1 bedroom, I have 2 words for you. Shut. Okay, no. Really, you can stop the complaining. The one house I went to, there were 4 kids in an even smaller hut. I don't know how they did it, but I just had to show you from the inside out. And they were lucky because this was paved. And most homes are dirt, the floors. Hospital. The only hospital that's anywhere close by is in Santiago. There's no medicine on site. But there's a whole bunch of pharmacy stores across the street. So you go out and you have to buy your stuff. There's no Tylenol for fevers. In this village, had I known, I would have brought a bunch. I just didn't know. But the simple Tylenol to help reduce fever happens a lot in the summer because they get really overheated and they have to go to the hospital or fight it out somehow, and they get really sick because there's nothing to help bring it down, and they can't even afford the medicine for that. So for us to send a couple bottles of Tylenol, oh my goodness, it makes such a world of difference to this town. There's only 275 homes in this village. That's it. It's a very small town. But they have to go to Santiago, which means a cab, because it costs money to take cabs. You know, I was blown away by what they don't have. There's another much larger city 2 hours away. That's like a capital. That's where you go for the real health problems. But there's a lot of sick people. So, this is a boa constrictor. He's about 7 feet. That's my foot. He's dead. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor and I don't like it at all. Yeah, anyway. We were driving along the road and Gerardo says, look at the size of that one. So we pulled over and took a look. And I know it's kind of gross, but this is normal. There are boa constrictors all over. And this is one of the larger ones that could take out your dog, no problem. If you have a Labrador retriever, it would eat one of those, no problem. Because what it does, it catches the snout, suffocates it, and then I saw it happen with a deer, small deer. And it was the snake that ate the small baby deer was not much bigger than this. They can eat a lot, and they're very dangerous. So, anyway. Beautiful picture now. See, you got kind of gross. Now you got a mindset. Let's have beauty. This is kind of cool because a lot of these white birds, I don't even know what they are. It was just gorgeous, just along the river on the way to the little town. Day 4. We planted a church. I've never done this before. Like, can you say, what? Hope Fellowship, we're part of this. Grace Walk is a part of this. We want to keep going back to this town and be a voice of hope and encouragement to them. The teaching we did, we recorded onto audio so that they can get a soundboard and speaker and a microphone, hook it up to a CD player, and that will be the message. Rosalba and Petty and Anita, she's going to be the social worker for the town. That's her title. She already gave herself a title. She'll be the social worker for the church, the community person. And Rosalba will be doing the leading as a teacher. She'll be the wisdom. So they're a pair doing this together. And so they said, we can't go back to that church at all. Well, then you become people of influence. I said, can we do our own? I said, yes. And we started a church plant right down there, which blew me away. And that evening we had a whole bunch of people come. The other church has about 12 people. It used to have 35, 40 people. But people kept leaving and leaving. They never, even relatives of Gerardo, they kept leaving that church. And they never told him. He said, why didn't you tell me? He said, well, you told us to support and be supportive, but we just couldn't anymore. And they have like 12 people. Well, our first night we had 12 people. So this is the evening of the launch. So we're just sitting back going, can you believe this is happening? Like, this is at nighttime, and yeah, anyway, it's just a fun photo. These are 3, oh, it's very dim. This guy's big, and he's got some muscle. He's now the AV guy. He's going to be hauling the big TV and hauling the soundboard, and Gerardo's going to be going back next weekend, not this weekend. So I left enough pesos to cover his gas. It cost about 5,000 pesos, which is about $400. For him to cover the gas to go there, hotel for 2 nights, eating. So that's really reasonable because he has it's a 3-hour drive from Guadalajara in the van. And they have the tolls and all that stuff. It all costs, everything costs. But for $400 a trip, that's not bad. So I left that with him as well. So he can at least go back. You see, this is his hometown or her hometown, but he's been there for 25 years. He's had a chance to know the people, and he's going to train these guys so that they'll be set up to run things themselves, how to plug in the board and and all that stuff and hit play. And we're also going to be sending a bunch of videos. Gerardo's going to be sending a bunch of DVDs, and we'll have a DVD player there. And they're just going to have the teaching done by video, and that's how they're going to do it. And they want the message of truth and grace and the gospel of Jesus, that Jesus loves everybody, to be taught, and that God's not standing over you with a whip saying you have to do this first. And that's huge, just huge. So there's more of the group coming together. There's that little girl. But yeah, I didn't get everybody because my camera, all the pictures didn't work. This is the building that's going to be their new church. Is that small? Yes, very, very small. But she's been doing some services in this building already. A pastor from another town came, maybe once a month they would come, and they would gather as a small group, and that's the building they would use. Inside, it's just a small little room with a thingy hanging for a light bulb and a little pulpit. As soon as I left, the very next day, the guy heard, and is connected to the Pentecostal lady, heard that they're going to teach grace. He said, you can't use the building anymore, we're taking the pulpit. So that's no longer your building. And he wasn't charging anything, but he didn't understand what was going on. So Gerardo's going to have a chat with them. But for now, the home that Gerardo has in there, Gloria and he own a home in the village. They're going to use that home, which is actually larger than this. It's like twice the size of that, and that's where they're going to meet. They can seat 25, 30 people in there if they need to. They only have 14 chairs, so as their needs grow, maybe we can send some money down and help them buy 10 chairs, you know. They're like $6, $7 a pop, $10 a pop, which is not too bad. Was that it? Yes. Day 5, spa day. There's Gerardo, Gloria, and me. They were selling these on the side of the road. I couldn't help it. But anyway. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. This is agape that lives in us, expressed in action. That's all it is. It's very simple. Grace is simple. I invite you to open your eyes. Where is God opening your heart to reach out to people? This village is heavy on my heart. I don't know why. It just is. But it's also become an opportunity for even some of the youth. We've got 3 of them here that went down there. And was it kind of cool seeing some of the pictures again? Yeah. Like, you suddenly remember, wait a minute, these are real people with real needs. And we have them all around us. We have them here. And in the context of our economies, you know, what's poor here is different than poor here. But it's poor. Poor is poor. It's hard, no matter what economy you're in. It's relative to your economy. But this is a pretty cool place that I hope we can spend a number of years as a church partnering with this little church, supporting them either through small donations, through sending messages of encouragement, and every time we go, bring them stuff, because the stuff we're going to now do in the village and the other projects can be done through this church, so that they become a voice of encouragement to the whole village. It's where these projects that we're doing will happen through that church instead of just through Grace Walk or Hope Fellowship. It's going to be done through a local people that are going to have an impact. Whereas the other church, what they told us when we asked what their needs were, we'd like a bigger roof, and you can help us build a building. Well, we have a dream for a 1,000 seat building. You know, and if you're not going to help us, somebody else will. What? So we just kind of said, no. And then we go and talk to Rosalba. We meet her. I met her last time for the first time. And her heart is for the village. Anita's heart is for the village and all the stuff they don't have. And I thought, church, look at your needs of your own community first. Meet those needs. Become a beacon of love and a beacon of light. And a beacon of good news, not guilt and judgment and condemnation. So this little church in El Limon is going to become a beacon of joy and hope for this village in more ways than we can imagine. I don't know what it's going to look like at all, but I'm inviting you to participate with that, and I'm going to invite the church to participate with it, and hopefully we can talk as a leadership team about that. But I want to present this to you because this was a significant trip. All of you who participated in this, thank you. It was a really, really good time. It was exhausting. I had no idea how the heat and humidity can physically drain a person, but I experienced it firsthand because I thought, I'm tough, I can handle this. No, it was very tiring, but worth every minute. Loved it. Any questions at all before we wrap up? Yes, Rod?
What'd you drink?
A lot of water.
Bottled water?
Bottled water. Yeah, and other...
Readily available?
Yes. Yeah, we bought it from outside of town because sometimes in town they may use the big blue bottles, pour it into bottled water and close the lid. So no, we didn't do that. And there's, of course, there was other bubbly drinks that were very healthy. Starts with a C in Spanish. Yep.
Does the new church have a name?
No. We're figuring that out. So it'd be fun to have Grace Walk's logo and Hope Fellowship's logo side by side as encouragement to them. Say, here, you have international support behind you. You know, they don't have a lot of needs, as in they're going to meet no matter what. But anything extra we do is a bonus because they can't afford anything bonus. So it's just, I don't know, it's pretty neat. So thanks for that. That's a good question. Anything else? Yeah.
You had mentioned, Mike, that we came through to here bringing stuff to you.
Yes.
When you ever go, like maybe Bibles even, or in Spanish, or T-shirts or whatever.
Yep. In the future, if you want to start saving up your shampoos, if you go to a hotel, and if you're anything like me, I saved up all this stuff. You know, I brought last time, but save these tiny things, and we'll start piling them up, and we'll bring them and just give them away every time we go. Let's bring extra suitcases. Look to your maximum 50 pounds, 0.2, because they allowed you to go over to 0.5. You know, just fill it up completely with T-shirts, with pants, shoes, things like that. By the way, hardly anyone wore shorts there. They were all in long pants. Yeah, I was shocked. I was one of the few people in shorts, except for the teaching night. But I see why. Because no bugs can get at you. It's a lot easier. So, yeah, so save up that stuff, school supplies. If you have a heart towards teachers, the teachers have very little to work with. So we could bring some supplies for the actual teachers. I don't know. This is just a dream that has started that I did not initiate. It began, listen to this, it began with Hope Fellowship's leadership team. It was the leadership team that began to ask the question, what are we doing about our youth? What are we doing to encourage them? Because we don't have a lot of programs here for them. You know, how are we encouraging them to become mature and encourage them in the message of Christ and how they live this out? Well, let's give them an experience. And then I began to think through the trip with Colleen and Rachel, and thought, why not go back there? And I know the village already. I know the safety. There's a lot of comfort in knowing where we're going, instead of something totally brand new. So it was your leadership team that sparked that through the surveys of what Hope Fellowship talked about. So this is all fruit of what you guys have birthed and happened in your leadership team. That's pretty cool. So thank you for that. Anything else? All right. Yes, Rachel.
Is there a way that we could communicate on an ongoing basis some of the needs? So even the chairs or that sort of thing as they come up, just as a reminder, you know, if it's $6 and I haven't had an extra $6 that week, it might be just a trigger for me to remember, hey, this might be a good opportunity for me to...
Yes. In fact, I think what I might do is put a menu together. Here's what a chair costs, here's what this costs, and that way you can give to whatever it is you'd like, and we'll save that up. And we can send it to Gerardo, who can actually deliver things to them. They have I can't mail him stuff because the postal service is terrible, but he can from his place to them because they have a secure FedEx type system that will deliver it. But yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, start saving up now. Anyone else? Yeah.
Can you make a list of what things they can...
That's what I just said. I'm going to put a menu together of the items of what could be needed and how much roughly each thing would cost.
Are you in school?
Yeah, I definitely have to get another list. They're just finishing school, so I probably won't have that till September when they start up again. But that would help a lot. And again, we got to be careful. If it's going to be really heavy stuff like paper, blank paper doesn't help. We'll buy it there. You know, because in the luggage, really, we're going to weigh down with paper. There's some things that are cheaper to buy there. They have Walmart. They've got all that stuff in the big cities. So it can be purchased there instead of having it shipped. But here, let's say clothes. Clothes is a big one. Clothes is worth bringing. That's big. And some medicines. And if not, we send money to Gerardo. So Gerardo, go buy them, 10 bottles of Advil or whatever and give it to that town, because that way it'll be given out by a person who can handle it and knows how to distribute it properly. So, anything else? We are planning missions trip number 2 next March. I've been talking to Gerardo about that, and so we might ask a couple more adults and teens to come along, but that's on the radar. So if you have an inkling to want to go, start saving up, and there'll be applications available probably in the fall, probably September, for those who want to go. It'll be a little bit more expensive this time because we had the cost per person plus we had the group cost. We're just going to spread it out over everybody, so because it's too expensive otherwise to try and raise 2 different types of money. It's just really hard. But we've learned a couple things. We know what we're doing now, which is pretty cool. I think that's it. Let's wrap up in prayer, and then I'm going to ask the worship team to come up as the offering is being taken up. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for the riches you've given us, and we've been given riches in material things. We're really rich. We have great running water, a great health system. We've got it made here. So Lord, soften our hearts to those who don't have as much. And may we, if possible, be able to also reach out and help out of our riches. May we also encourage this new church that they may grow in grace and be equipped to then tell others. We thank you for this, Father. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Oh yeah, one last thing. Gerardo is thinking of having a big soccer tournament, including the other smaller villages that are around on the time we go on this missions trip. And so it'll be a soccer tournament and allow the community, and then we get to do the teaching to all the adults. So there'll be 2 different events happening simultaneously, but he's dreaming and drooling of ideas, and it's pretty cool. So stay tuned for more.